the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We need approval of the agenda. With an addition, I would like to add on 4A, a fireworks permit for Calvin McDermott for the Carroll Country Club. Carroll National.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We need approval of last week's minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I thought they read well.
Second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First item on the agenda is the Carroll County Growth Partnership update, and please introduce yourself before you do your presentation.
Kimberly Tiefenthaler, Director for the Carroll County Growth Partnership.
Mike Franny, President of Carroll County Growth Partnership.
Jim Allen, past president and member of the board.
So I'll take off on some things that I have here, and Mike and Jim can interject where it makes sense for them. So in no really particular order, but just giving you an update on the most recent things happening for the last 3 or 4 months with the Carroll County Growth Partnership, and really looking at some things that take place on a longer span, but just really want to give you an update on a few things like the Carroll County Leadership Institute, which is something that has our organization and the chamber together have been doing. I asked Roseanne for some stats on that, and we're in our 24th year, just completed our 24th year of that program and have graduated 502 total graduates. So I think that's pretty remarkable that we've had some long-standing programs like that that have really been successful for that long. This program is 8 sessions, so starting in September, and as you probably know it, we visit various businesses and organizations, and there's a lot of learning that takes place over government entities and businesses as well, hospital, and such. So we get a lot of great responses about that program. And it's hard to track where people are at and what they're doing, but as best we know, we've got around 65 graduates that have gotten involved with boards, organizations, or public offices. And our very own Scott Johnson is one of those graduates that Roseanne tells me that he was in the first leadership class and now serving as county supervisor. So honestly, that's one of our goals. You know, that's a great example of growing leadership in the county and encouraging folks to participate, whether it's, you know, on a church or organization or church board, or if it's an elected official somewhere. That's what we can hope for. So a great leadership program. A lot of other communities and counties are still trying to start their leadership program, and we're 24 years down the road. So. And one thing that we've been working on, as you know, is the housing readiness assessment with Iowa State University for the city of Carroll. That has involved some work and some meetings, but it's all been very good, and the report is back, and that readiness assessment goes into also the Thriving Communities application that the city of Carroll has made, that Carroll County Growth Partnership has definitely been a part of. So we are in the final round of that. And so we'll be going to Des Moines and pitching the city of Carroll to be a thriving community. As you know, Manning did get that designation last year, so we're going for that same designation. So that's one thing that I'm involved in with the city. Our grant program for the Carroll County Growth Partnership is completed for 2024. We had 15 applications. And as you know, we have 2 different grant programs. One is the Jumpstart Accelerator Grant, which is 2 $5,000 grants, one in the city of Carroll and one out in the county. The next grant program is our micro facade grant program, which is 10 $1,000 grants going to brick and mortar businesses. And we had, we split those as well, for the city of Carroll and out in the county. So with a total of 15 applications, we had 8 Jumpstart, accelerator applications. I have to tell you that the applications were all really good. This is very competitive this year. You can tell people are really, they know about it now and they're paying attention to those and doing those applications. We did award, one for the city of Carroll and one out in the county. Those announcements will be coming out very soon. And, seven facade, applications, and 2 of those were out in the county. So, again, we'll be announcing those very soon. I've been busy assisting with some grant applications. That's one thing, that we've really tried to pay more attention to since I've come on board is, what opportunities are there for this, from the state of Iowa and from the federal level as well. And what are we not grabbing hold of that we could bring our direction and really participate in? And, I get asked a lot, how do other communities do it? How does Manning do it? How does Jefferson do it? Well, they're grabbing hold of those opportunities. And so that's one thing that we've been spending a lot of time on. And if you've ever been involved in a grant application process, it's lengthy, as you know, and it takes a lot of time, but in the end, we're getting close to $1 million, in the last, year and this year being awarded. So it's paying off. We did apply for, I helped assist a business here in town. We're waiting to get the results of that grant, but that could be upwards to $100,000 from the state with a specific business. Also, on the Hub Sub 1-2 side of it, we did apply for a USDA grant, business development grant. And if we're awarded, they decide how much they're going to give you. You can make an ask. So we're hoping for 50,000 from that award. So speaking of Hub Sub 1-2, I will give you a quick update on that. As you know, that in the first quarter of the year and going into the second quarter, that we were on the point of launching that, and that took a great deal of my time. With the fellowship that we were awarded, that took time to go and do training with that fellow. So there was time spent doing that. But she is boots on the ground now, visiting our communities in our county, and this is a regional project, so visiting those counties that surround Carroll. So the building renovations are complete, our offices are full. Our resource partners are in the project. Ray Hansen is one of the resource partners through ISU Extension and also the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. His focus is an ag innovation program that has been launched out of Hub Sub 1-2, and his calendar is full. So that's really great to hear from him that people are really reaching out to him. The word's getting out there. As we know, there's a lot of ag innovation that takes place in a farmer's mind while they're riding the tractor. They're solving problems all the time. And we can name projects and businesses that have international sales that are right here in Carroll County and around us. So we feel it's really important to have this program in place, but to have it launched out of Hub Sub 1-2 and in Carroll County is huge for us. We hosted Senator Ernst at Hub Sub 1-2 a couple of weeks ago. It was great to have her there. She wanted to meet with our leadership team and ask us, her question for us was, how did you do this? And we got a fellow. How were you one of only 65 projects to receive a fellow? So it was a really good conversation with her. So weaving that visit together with also our Access Washington trip, as you know, we have coming up in September. Her suggestion for us was make sure you meet with SBA and you talk to SBA about what they're wanting to do at the federal level, which they're wanting to decrease the funding from the states at the SBDCs and increase the funding at the federal level, which she is not for. Not expanding those things at the federal level, which would decrease our boots on the ground here locally. That's not what any of us need. So I appreciated that conversation with her and another topic that we will be taking to Access Washington. We are trying to put together workshops that are meaningful for small business owners and things in bringing in resources. So one of the workshops that we have tomorrow, for example, is artificial intelligence tools for small businesses in marketing. So, you know, you don't know what you don't know, and this is a very new thing that's coming at us, and it's not going to go away. So, trying to arm our small businesses with as much information as we can. One thing that I want to touch on is our BRE program. CCGP runs a business retention and expansion program. It has been in a phase of reconstruction, if you will. And what Jim is passing out to you are, and when I say it's been a phase of reconstruction, that's from the state level across the state. This is a collaborative effort between Mid-American Energy and Iowa Economic Development Authority. That's historically how it's always been. They have taken a step back for a couple of years, dropped the platform that they were using, and are really trying to give more control at the local level and simplify the process. Because what they found was that we are fatiguing our businesses by asking them questions, and our surveys are so lengthy, they were so lengthy, and they weren't getting the participation that they needed. But if you take a look at these questions, what these questions do is they give us a good feel for where businesses are at, if we are retaining them, what do we need to do to retain them? If they're going to expand, what resources do they need? Things like that. So there really are, they give us a good barometer for where things sit with businesses. From the state level, they give us a list of businesses, anywhere from 12 to 15 businesses that they require us to go meet with. At the local level here with our development corporation with CCGP, we feel it's important not only to reach out to that list that is given to us by Mid-American and IEDA, but to also have a different survey that's geared more towards small to medium-sized businesses, that we have another effort that's separate from this, but yet is kind of the same, business retention and expansion, and touching base with our small to medium-sized businesses. What do they need from us? What are their pain points? How can we help them? What are their success stories? What's working for them that could work for somebody else? So that's another program that we're re-kickstarting, if you will. Another piece that has come up just recently is an opportunity to, with the local realtors in our community, in our county, to use a platform called Crexi. It's a commercial real estate exchange platform. And this is a database for commercial real estate. So for anything that's for sale or for lease. And we already have a platform that is free to us to use, but it's more cumbersome than this is going to be. This is going to be a lot easier to use. And so things will be at our fingertips a lot quicker, if you will. Business assistance wise, with the launch of Hub 712, I would say the awareness is definitely raised in our area, and people are definitely reaching out to us. We've worked with 47 business owners or prospective business owners so far in 2024 about starting, growing, expanding, and exiting their businesses. I will tell you that the interest rates, access to capital, and business owners needing to retire are, I would say, the biggest concerns that we have with our businesses right now. Interest rates have definitely affected folks that want to grow and expand, exiting businesses. As we all know, we've got a baby boomer generation of business owners that are looking at retirement. I mentioned earlier that Access Washington is well underway for planning. We are going to go in September again. A number of issues are being planned and a number of meetings on that trip. We can give you the full book when that is completed. There will be a white paper written for every issue that we take. And we will be meeting with Senator Ernst Grassley. We try to meet with, one of the officials at the, Eisenhower Building, which is next door to the White House. And there will be a number of other meetings as well with USDA, SBA. Alan Anderson will be going and meeting with, some folks out there that he needs to meet with. So it's always a good trip, and there's always good things that come from that trip. There's a lot of other things that I could go through here. I know time is, of the essence. I can, as you know, I can reinforce to you, childcare is something that we're definitely concerned about because it's directly affecting our workforce and our employers. We had a meeting last week, and it was, very good information. But at this point, I want to give Mike and Jim an opportunity to chime in, and if you have any questions.
I want to touch a little bit on the childcare. I know some of you were at that meeting. And I was past president of the childcare center. It's always about dollars. Understand that. Having people in the workforce is important. We're gonna have to think outside the box. Whether it's Carroll Child Care Center, Glidden, Breda, Manning, doesn't matter. Home care. But it's gonna be something that we're gonna have to, from private business through government services, we've gotta address this. Because if we lose childcare centers and the labor that runs them, we'll lose workforce. So we have to be on top of that. I don't have a solution, but we need to all be part of the discussion.
They kind of took everything I was gonna say, but, we're just, we appreciate the funding that you give us. We're a group of 40 to 45 men and women that believe that, Carroll County is worth fighting for and supporting, and we donate our dollars to pay dues and, private investment to our group, along with the city and the county's funds, and to make, Carroll County better than it was. So we thank you very much for that.
Any questions for us?
We appreciate what you do. Gene's on the executive board, I'm on the regular board. So we're
Appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is discuss city, county, 2 mile zoning 2080 agreement. We brought this onto the agenda because there has been meetings behind the scenes trying to navigate our way through this between the city and the county, because this agreement, yes, originally was from March 6, 1990, but it actually goes back further than that because trying to figure out the date, but there was a memorandum. Is that correct, Kurt?
Yeah,
It goes way back further than that.
that is correct. 84.
1984.
November of 84.
Sure.
The memorandum, I have a copy here, is from November 19th of 1984. Doesn't state a lot other than they're working together with regards to planning and zoning.
If you want to go ahead, Kurt, you can come have a seat up here if there's any. Going forward, I think this is mostly a discussion among the board of supervisors. Will allow you guys, if you guys need to speak again, you can, we'll keep it to a minimum as well, so we take everybody's time into consideration. But does anybody want to kind of spearhead what we're feeling? And again, remember, this is an understanding between the city and the county. So even if the board of supervisors, and I'm just saying hypothetically, wanted to abolish this, get rid of it, the city still has to agree to it as well. So this is a multi-government agreement that has to happen with the 2080. We do have our assistant county attorney here as well, and Sarah, if you want to come up here as well, you can. She's with our P and Z, and they have been working on our comprehensive plan as well. We'll say, there's nobody speaking out. Mike and I, we did meet with the city manager and as well as Scott and Gina at separate times, just to kind of understand how this whole process works if we were to make changes. How that works as well. Anybody wants to throw out some ideas or where you're feeling. We also wanted to make sure that you guys knew we didn't forget about you and we're trying to spearhead this and keep this going because I know this is a very important issue to everybody here.
We want to identify the city representatives that are here too.
Okay, would you please introduce yourselves so that the guests are aware who's all here?
Sure. Aaron Quaker, city manager.
Dan Honish, building and fire.
Eric Johnson, building inspector.
Thank you.
Do you want to speak?
Yeah, I guess we met 3 weeks ago and I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. Our objective was to retract any radius restriction in the 2080 agreement that the city of Carroll has and revert back to the original pre-2080 agreement and turn it back to the Board of Supervisors and the county planning and zoning. The reason we bring this up, there's a barrier that's been created and it's been going on for a lot of years. And we need to get over this and figure out a way to get around it and move forward. So with that, I'm just gonna open it up to some of the people in the crowd to bring up their comments.
If you're gonna speak, please introduce yourself.
Lisa Danzer. Stephanie, I'd like to start with you. You were gonna speak with John Worden and also you had spoke with the city representatives. Where do you currently stand?
We both have met. I met with Curtis and with Aaron last week. So it took a little bit for the city to find that understanding of memorandum, but it was found and it was emailed to the board last week and we all had an opportunity to take a look at it.
Okay, and currently where do you stand with,
As far as how do I feel?
yes,
I would have to say there needs to be, I would agree with Marty that there needs to be something that needs to change. Whether that's understanding between the county and city where we all need to get along, zoning, everybody needs to get along. Conversations probably need to be more brought to light. Everybody needs to be brought to the table when it comes to permit. Do I believe in zoning? I do. There's a reason for zoning as far as organizational growth for economic development around the city. If we were to just get rid of the 2 mile and all in general, you're setting up the county and the city for failure. Especially, and I understand, some people feel Carroll hasn't grown in 65 years. That was a comment that was made. But we do actually have a map that shows there has been growth around the city of Carroll. If you look down at Deer Creek, it has grown. Carroll is growing. Now, with that being said, I'm negotiable to talk about, if you guys want to hear my opinion first, to moving it to 1 mile. But what I would also like to see is going away with the structure that we have now and going back to giving the county more of a say. So when that permit comes in, the county has more of the upper hand, what happens outside in the county area. Whether that's creating a new board, if you call that, well, Mike presented a little graph here.
This just shows you when you go get a permit, if you're in the 2 mile, I have one drawn up for if you're a county or if you're in the 2 mile, but in the 2 mile, after it goes to if you ask for your permit and they say no, it goes to the P and Z or zoning commission. Either if they say yes or no, right now it goes to the Carroll City Council votes on the permit. And that's where we want to change that to where we have say in that. So if we can have
We discussed 2 supervisors.
yeah, or, in my opinion, I would like to have 3 supervisors and 2 city council. That's just. It's
To go
hard.
to
It's 'cause
a
it's our tax.
5-person.
That's my opinion, so.
so you're saying change the entire structure to having a couple supervisors and a couple city council, and so that it's not all in the county's hand,
Correct.
All in the city.
all in the city's hand? Well, we were requesting it for it to be all in the county's hands.
Yep.
And so I'll just throw one comment to you is that if it were in the county's hand, who is responsible for the entire county, along with the city of Carroll, you could take feedback from the city council as you are currently having to do, but a lot of times don't know that anything's really going on and what's going on with it until now we've spearheaded this. So my recommendation again will be to put it into the county's hands and let the city council approach you if they have a concern on something, because they will be made aware of through P and Z also but the final decision is made through the county. Scott, can you give me your opinion in regards to where you stand with this at this current
I'm
time?
still just educating myself, understanding, meeting with people, reading documents. I do think there's a misunderstanding, and that's where we're all trying to figure out something workable that works for the people that reside in that area.
Okay, Gene?
I'm kind of like Scott, I'm still learning too, but you know, and this. I will say this, we need to have zoning. We have to have controlled growth. I think this was all done with a good intent. I do think there's probably some tweaking that needs to be done to this thing. To do away with it, I do not agree with that. One of the things that when we met with Aaron was talking about putting equal representation from each ones to do these regular building permits, which I think that made sense to me that we would have that both sides would be studying that instead of just the city. And that, I think there's probably a lot of things that could be tweaked on. I think there's probably, I know John had made a comment that there's some things that's probably outdated in the 2080 agreement that needs to be brought up to date. And I'm still learning too, but I think it needs the thing as a whole needs to still be there. We need zoning and control. They need to work together on that out there. But I don't think we need to do away with it. It needs to be updated and tweaked for it.
Okay.
One thing,
I'm Sarah Havel, Bill County zoning administrator.
and one thing I had mentioned in the city meeting with Aaron is, I wanted to retract it to a mile, and I've thought more about that, and maybe even a half mile, it's hard with the map, but, and the reason I say this, because as it grows, and if you grow out that mile, the city would annex the next mile, so in my eyes, it doesn't need to be a 2 mile. So.
I agree with that. I look at the city of Carroll, we live 2 mile radius, south of town. And I look at the town of Carroll and I see that the Bauer ground has been in that 2 mile radius, for many, many of years. We have the Grettimans that are developing or have ground that is just south of Deer Creek area that is open for development. We more than likely, Roman Steffes has some ground still developing, which he is doing a nice job up on 11th Street East. Now we do have a new developer from out of town in Des Moines, which I'm unsure why that has not moved forward, that have bought the Wiedemeyer ground out by New Hope. That was going to happen, and I'm real curious in regards to why nothing has been done with that. Perhaps maybe Perry could comment on that after a bit. And then I would just like to go into, so thank you for your comments. We know where you stand at this time. This is all open communication and we're trying to present to you our reasonings. You know, the internet has come around, and back in the 90s, we can go back and say it's 80s, 90s. It kind of is irrelevant at this point. We have all new leadership, and we have different leadership styles that have taken over now that were not then. So now we need to relook at the now. The internet is here. It's not going away. I don't think that the city of Carroll ever thought that the internet could affect them in the way that it has. Well, now you get to see it has, and it does. And I appreciate the SBA or 712. I was part of that leadership way back when Jim Gossett started that in one of the first groups also. And I'm glad to see that 24 years later, it's still moving forward, because I'm sure that they tweaked it a ton for it to be successful. So I am glad to see that there's that going on. Going back to the rec center, Aaron Quaker, city manager, had indicated pertaining to the rec center that we do not pay into the city. However, our tax stubs do show in the ag sector that we pay over 50% to the Carroll schools. If our ground is in 51401, we are paying into the city.
Definitely.
Without any doubt, we are. And the rec center, just looking at the website and the information, the rec center is not charging out of towners added daily fees. versus memberships. They're charging an out-of-town fee. And they're not charging the kids on the intramural sports that are ran by the rec center. You know, that all got thrown in together years ago as my children were growing up, and I was one of the volunteers that did a lot of volunteering with the rec center. So, and I understand that Mr. Quaker was not here during those years, but he needs to be brought up to date in regards to some of the past also.
Nope.
Uh,
Is it, excuse me, is it fair to say that there's been a lot of county money that's gone into city coffers in one way or the other? I know of several.
I would say one thing, the city does not receive any dollars from the school district. The school district is its own separate entity. So what ag ground, what building, property taxes you pay into the school district goes to the school district, not to the city. So that's two different, completely different things.
Well,
We
it's
don't
the
get
city school.
Right, but it's not the same thing. It's the Carroll County Community School District and the city of Carroll. There's two different things. two different
Okay,
entities.
so can I ask, why is there a fee on membership to the rec center for 51401 2-mile radius people, but there's not an extra fee for daily rates, nor for our kids to be involved in the intramural sports?
Because the daily rates are charged the same, I believe, for everybody.
Why?
It's the way it's set up. I don't know, it's before me. I did not set it up.
Well,
I had
maybe
anything
that
to
needs
do
to
with
be
it.
readdressed. If
So-
you want to charge for membership, then maybe you need to look at those items also.
So you
The
can,
goal is to bring people into the town of Carroll.
Right,
That's all.
Not-
but that's an entirely different conversation than this 2080.
We need to focus back on the
Yeah.
2-mile.
Okay, then my last comments are, we as farmers in the 2-mile radius do provide many purchases in the city of Carroll, bringing in good tax sales base to the city of Carroll, and I do not think one should forget that. Farming has many risks involved depending on nature and is very expensive business to run with its expensive machinery, etc. We as farmers are here to hopefully continue to bring our next generations of farmers to Carroll County. I don't think many of you understand what this really means, unfortunately. Beginning farmers can't just go on their own and get an SBA loan, a small business loan that other businesses can. The amounts are astronomical, and if you went to, maybe you get the Coon Rapids Enterprise, it shows what some of these young farmers are getting for loans, and they're millions of dollars. That's pretty scary and needs to be considered by everybody. If you're not gonna vote on this, which I don't believe that you are, we ask that when you do go to make this vote, we ask that whoever is the permanent person that is voted in November be a part of this. And so that would put it off until January 1, when they are sworn in for this vote. Thank you.
Let me question real quick. So the seat is technically vacant as of June 12th. They have 40 days to fill the seat, whether that is with an appointment, the recorder, treasurer, auditor fill that seat. You would like us to wait until November, till the new elected?
Someone's gonna get.
Yes, January 1, when they were sworn in.
Whoever's elected in November will actually take office right after the
November
canvas. Because there's somebody sitting in that seat who may be appointed or have won a special election. So
Okay, so November 1st. So after November, yeah.
November 11th.
Whoever that person is that's voted in. We're not asking for this temporary interim if in case it's a different person. Which it very well could be, based off of, because I think that they went with an application process. And if somebody didn't know that there was an application process and didn't get their application in, then that's why there may be a different person. I don't know if all 3 of the supervisors that are running were notified that they needed to apply or not. Thanks.
Sarah, did you want to make a comment about zoning or anything along those areas?
I've done a lot of research in regards to the 2-mile and other areas, or they call it fringe areas. So I've been working with other zoning officials to kind of see how they have theirs laid out, and what issues and differences they're having. So I have been doing also research on my end with other counties.
And I know she's reached out to a lot of different, cities as well, asking what they have for their ordinances or their agreements. Trying to just really get a grasp and, you know, I'm not a big person, you need to do a knee-jerk reaction and change everything right away. I think it's smart to have an educated decision. We obviously want to do what's best for Carroll County residents. I think the majority of the board, if I want to summarize, and correct me if I'm wrong, we all realize something needs to happen and something does need to change. And I think, we all are doing our homework as much as we can to make sure we're making the smart, most educated, informed decision for this particular topic, the 2 mile.
Sarah has sent us a lot of information that she's found, so appreciate it, Sarah.
Well, Sarah, in your investigation, I'll call it, how many cities have you actually contacted on this? Because as you know, there's only 4 cities in the state of Iowa that have a 2 mile area or a 1 mile area.
That's incorrect.
That's an
There are more than that.
Well, this is talking to the attorneys in the State House in Des Moines. This is information from Sarah Curry, who is the research director for ITR. She gave me the names of the towns. One is Glidden, of all cities. So that means there's 3 other than Glidden.
And Carroll, did you include Carroll in that 4 then?
There's 4 in the whole city, or in the whole state of Iowa.
Okay, well,
So it's actually, this is an exception of what's going on here than the rule in this state.
Didn't you reach out to several counties?
I've reached several counties. I know Marion County is in a 2 mile, they have a 1 mile. Around
what
the
city?
Pella or Knoxville, I'll double check
Well,
those. I
that
have
might-
lists,
that
I
might
have
be one
lists
of
upstairs,
I don't know.
but there's more that have, 1 mile, 2 mile, or different fringe areas. So I have a nice list that I would be happy to share with you.
Okay, that's
So-
fine, because I'm gonna compare, because this gal's been doing this research for 35 years. She knows what she's talking about, and she represents the 3 attorneys that cry nothing but taxes for the state of Iowa. And you can surely look her up. There's all her information. The next point I'd like to bring up is this distinction between the county and the city. From what these people tell me, that there is definitely a distinction. The city has to stay in their boundaries. The county controls everything outside of that.
Oh, there's a state law, there's a 1/4 mile urban transition.
Fine, okay, I didn't research that, you could be very right.
I can give you the code if you want.
Yeah, but from what they tell me, the city has to stay within that boundary. Now, how we shift that boundary, that is what we're here today to talk about. So there's a lot of people that I've talked to. I was one of the canvases that went around the 2 mile area. There's 2 others in this room. And I got all their feedback. And we had over 135 signatures out of 171 taxpayers in the 2 mile area. What's that percentage? 87%? And I've gotten phone calls since that petition. And there was a lot of snowbirds that I couldn't contact because they said their neighbors were gone to Florida or wherever. So I know it's probably about 90%. So that's who we're representing here today. So, and until recently, there has not been any real inspections in the county 2 mile area. I've built twice on my house in the last 10 years. Nobody's told me I needed a permit.
You should
Or
have
pay a
known you
fee.
worked for the city.
Pardon?
You said you should have known you worked for the city for.
That's
30
right.
plus
And you
years.
should have known also, Perry.
Well, I didn't.
Yeah, you weren't doing any inspections out here.
Well, then, you must not have filled out a permit.
Hey, guys,
Well,
no, we're not doing that.
I understand, but that's the problem out here. Is I caught Perry twice last summer.
Sir, I'm gonna actually cut you off here. Here's the
Okay,
thing, we're
that's
not gonna
fine,
point-
but
we're not gonna point
I'll
fingers
talk
at
to you privately then about it.
Not
But
pointing
I
fingers,
could,
you
I
won't.
could file a lawsuit today.
You can point your finger at me, sir, but that doesn't get anywhere. Pointing fingers gets you nowhere. You have to come together. We keep talking about coming to the table and having a constructive.
I understand that,
conversation. Pointing fingers
but
gets you nowhere.
this problem has upset us so much.
We understand. We're trying. Everybody
And-
back here is
and-
trying.
Don't just listen to me. I talked to a lot of these people. And when it came to light, when they were really, the city was really out here inspecting. And I'll mention their name because they told me I could, the Wernemans. And I had a lot of these people say, I didn't know there was any inspection out here. Well, I never had to, I've built onto this, built onto that, I've added this, I've added that should have probably been, had a permit and then an inspection. Look around out here in the 2 mile area of all the improvements. There's never been any inspection. It was brought to light when the Wernemans.
Okay.
And they said that. I didn't know anything about it. Nobody informed me until the Wernemans, when I read in the paper, I heard on the radio and heard from the neighbors. Well, you know what kind of information moves around the county when things like what happened to the Wernemans? You know how, and then all the bad
I'm
things
not trying to
that,
cut you off, but when somebody comes in, let's map the process, and they want to add on or build a new building and send a 2 mile, do you refer them to the city?
If it's only 2 mile,
Yes.
I do refer them to the city.
But, I mean, anytime you're building, the people are supposed to get a permit, city, county, anywhere, correct? So if you've done it twice with. Okay, we can move on, but.
yeah.
I think we can all agree that we are.
Well, that might have been the rule, but it was never followed.
But did you?
True.
I guess, let's put a button on this. Did you apply for the?
You apply for a permit.
Permit?
No, didn't know I had to.
Okay, that's.
How would have I known?
Anybody else? want to
Yeah.
speak?
Does anybody else want to speak from the crowd?
I'll just make one comment, Lisa Dancer. I believe it's anything over $1,000 needs a permit, regardless if it's city or county. Is that correct? Or
Ours is by size,
what
by size, so,
size?
yeah, if it's bigger than a 10 by 10 shed for our ordinance.
But to put a driveway in.
The county is, I think, if I'm reading this right, $1 to $1,000 is still a $22 permit fee. I think in anything, there's still a permit fee.
And
For the city, excuse me, there's city fees.
I mean, like I said, there's a limited amount of things that you can do under the law. Obviously, sounds like the board wants to make some changes. They'd have to work with the city to do so. They can't just unilaterally adjust the agreement. So that's what would have to happen. For what I'm hearing. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
No, you're 100% correct. It does have to happen laterally with the city. But I think if everybody was listening correctly, you can kind of, in your own judgment, feel where this board feels. I don't think nobody's gonna come out and make a motion today and change things, because that's not the procedure. That's not how that's gonna work. We'll continue to work with the city. I know the city manager wanted to hear how we were feeling on whether we wanted to make some changes. He obviously has some direction to leave here today with that. There are 4 members here that would like to see some changes made, so.
Well, and I don't think we're in the position right now
To make
to have all the
educated.
facts, to make the right kind of decisions right now. Because whatever we do is gonna affect down the road a long ways, and I think we wanna do this right. And we're not gonna rush into something.
And then the last point I will make, so a lot of times in life, you don't know about everything until something comes up. This is the exact same thing that something came up, shed light, Dick Wernemont and Marcy's situation, it shed light on something that wouldn't have ever probably shed light on until there was a problem. And I'm sorry, 1990 or even prior 1984, the memorandum of understanding, I probably wouldn't have been sitting here researching that unless something came up. So I apologize. I didn't know what that memorandum of understanding is from 1984. But now that it's shed light, we will make some adjustments. I hope. That's in my opinion. I hope we make some adjustments. Educated adjustments. And I think with the help of the county attorney and meeting with, the city's office, we will move forward with this and get the county hopefully more safe. Anything else? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, next item on the agenda is secondary roads. Zach, we have 3 utility permits, one from the REC, one from Fluffy Drainage Solutions, and one from Mid-Americas. No.
Thanks, you.
Or, I'll try to get together with you.
Just, what you wanna do, basic thing, but you gotta work.
We can amend the 2080 either. Go ahead, Zach.
First utility permit is for Raccoon Valley Electric, basically getting service, this is in, Newton, section 22. Born underneath 320th Street, getting a service for a new house, so, nothing atypical from what we've, asked for before. The board service line to a new house under 320th Street. So, any questions on that one?
Would you like these approved together or separately?
I think they're all pretty straightforward. If you wanna do them together, that'd be fine. Second one is for Quality Drainage Solutions. This is, section 1819 of Arcadia. This is just outside of west side into the Carroll County side, actually crossing the county line. This one is for a water service, the property on the east side in Carroll County. There's something happened to their water service, so they had to get a new water service across the road. They have submitted, this applicant has submitted to Crawford County as well, since that is their jurisdiction. That the road is in that area, but because they're, the county line road, I guess, I asked them to submit an application to us as well, so.
Is half of it's ours, or half of it?
Technically, half of it is, it's their maintenance, if you want to per se say that. That's their mile for maintenance, but any large improvements or costs is shared by both counties, so. That's that one. The third one is for Mid-American Energy, Maple River, section 1, Grant, section 6. This is just north of Carroll. They're looking to put in basically some, junction boxes. It's in the existing, electric lines that from the, wind towers that are already underneath the road. They're just looking to add some junction boxes in the right of way where those existing lines are, so. Again, nothing that's gonna greatly, impact anything new, because the lines are already there, so.
Are they gonna be above ground junction boxes?
I believe they'll be flush mounted, like with the ground, like in the ground. They'll be surface to the existing back of the right of way areas where they'll be looking to put those.
I'll make a motion to approve all 3 utility permits.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the first class, and we do have one from Jeff. Everybody, look at that.
I see no problem with, I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Zach, you didn't have anything else, did you?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you.
And now I don't, everybody have 4A. 4A, a application for flag work permit for July 4th or potentially July 5th. At the Carroll Iowa Golf LLC, which is the Wolf Country.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Heard the motion in a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 5, to approve payables. So we're gonna do something a little different this week. I went ahead and Courtney brought down payables and Zach brought the ones from secondary roads. I know a few of us have gone into the auditor's office and we'll take a brief scan through the bills, but this is a good learning thing so you can see the details. Try to keep these in order because they are alphabetized. It is a good way to see exactly where county dollars are being spent. You get a brief overview through the spreadsheet or the list that Courtney sends out, but this goes into a further detail if you want to hand it. So try to keep them in order as well.
Some county supervisors do this every
Every
meeting.
meeting.
They talk about every single bill, every single day.
And I will say, I did review, sorry, I did review these on Friday.
A lot of them are non-discretionary spending, power bills, water bills.
Yeah.
Insurance. Or you can correct, this is the last pay period this fiscal year.
Yes.
And they're gonna be millions under budget,
Right?
and we're gonna be millions under budget.
No, we're gonna be right on budget, because
Actually-
you didn't ask for any more money than you needed.
And yeah, this bill day is only a little over 500,000, which isn't a huge bill day.
No.
The election.
There is a mileage for the election.
14,000 again for the election roughly, or are they all in yet?
They're all in. That's the major cost of the election is.
It's over 14 now, isn't it?
Per hour?
No, 14,000 have especially for an election.
Yeah, that's just staffing the election.
August 20, the fall is August 22 to 25. I mean,
We were gonna wait to pay those before July for this from the next year, but you have seen in your meetings and education, so I just took care of it.
and you saw the bill went from 280 to 250.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It was a mistake. Yeah, I thought, why'd they raise the rates?
Thank you.
You'll say it was a little more like 10, not 14,
This election.
just for the workers.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah, roads was actually pretty easy to much. Yeah. And these hardware and bombs.
In fact, maybe speak to that.
Question?
A lot of billing or charging going on Ace Hardware and Bonner.
Was it wrong to bring it in?
No, there wasn't too much of that, actually.
The clothing allowance,
Oh.
everybody turned in
Yeah.
jeans.
Which that probably because that's not very much, you know, what they. Clothing.
You're gonna say revisit it. Say other departments don't get it.
Well, it doesn't, it made a difference, they didn't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, there's a lot of A's, a lot of bombers, and it's.
Yeah, and I have.
It's just, he has it over there, errors, I mean, that's what it goes down to, whether it's shop or equipment or. How it works.
That question, is anybody can?
No,
Let me see.
there's a list, you can remember where it's, which person. They paid for it, yes, but the stuff that gets charged with bond cars, I mean, there's probably a half a dozen that are on that list.
I have a question about this one. Know the difference in price on them.
Hotel stay.
Yeah.
Courtney, do you know, was there a specific, okay, so this one right here. The Iowa Emergency Management, Jeff Cullen, stayed at Bridges Bay for $75 a night. Okay. And then same hotel. Iowa County Reporters Association, I assume they still get a government rate when they stay there, but this one actually was 400 a night.
It's a lot more, but I don't know why.
One guy, God.
I don't know. I don't see it. I just think they have it set up. I don't know doing rates. So
No,
one got conference rates and attorneys.
This is Iowa Emergency
Oh,
Management.
whatever it is, I was using an example, so if one set up a conference rate and the other didn't, and you missed the conference rate, then
It's back to normal.
it's back to normal. That would probably be my
Always got to ask for the trucker rate.
explanation.
That's one.
I don't know, maybe you can even email Ashley just to make sure, I mean, that's quite a difference, $75 to 400.
Yeah.
It is a big difference, big catch.
Mike, did they ever have a bunch of active or that bleeding kids? Is that grant, 11,000?
From public health.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
I know they want that with payday ASAP, I saw it.
Total bill for payables this month is $501,747.76. And like Scott said, there are counties that do this.
They discuss it in detail, which we're just kind of thumbing through just as
A lot of times, like Friday is a good day for me to look at them, or when I get time, but then I can ask Courtney.
Well, I usually go through the list and the day question I call, find out like this morning. that Most of the time, I like the pictures. If there's no other questions, I'll make a motion to approve the claim.
I will second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Mike, did you want to follow up on that?
I will.
Obviously, we will be paying that, but just to see what the difference was. There's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are to committee
They're not.
reports. I can go first. Last Friday, I spent time going through the payables, set the agenda. I did reach out to I don't know how many recipients, but it's a lot for the conference board to meet so we can go over the future assessor's position. I've yet to only hear back from 4. So I'm going to reiterate an email this week. I'm going to pick a date, as long as we can get 2 supervisors, 2 city council, and 2 school board. It's a quorum, but this is a big deal, and I'm gonna stress that in that next email I'm gonna send here in just a little bit. Cindy's last day is June 31st. July 31st. So I think I'd like to start that process sooner than later. We already have a recommendation from the examining board, but put that into consideration.
So is the meeting you're planning gonna be interviews, or is it gonna be? just
So,
Or discuss how.
Discuss how to move forward, okay?
yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm just following protocol. Do the
Identify
2,
yourself, please.
what's that?
Name.
Name it.
Oh, sorry, Aaron Quaker, city manager. Do you have names of city council members that are on that board, or do you? Cause I'll make sure I can get in touch with those specific council members to get them to that meeting.
It's actually,
Mayors,
It's mayor.
sorry.
Oh, mayors?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I was just gonna try and help you out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But we do need to make sure we can get some follow-up and some. What else? Oh, I spoke with the county attorney. I spoke with city manager over there. Still learning about this 2 mile, but we did spend time. I've talked to Mike outside of it as well. We did have an emergency call to order meeting for the executive region 12 policy on Thursday to discuss. We had an application come in for a loan, but the loan had to be approved, but they had to receive their approval and it had to be done by that Thanksgiving. So
The policy or that?
executive. And that is it. This next week, obviously, I'm gonna work on trying to get the conference board together, and still work on with the assessors. But no official meetings, and then I also will do a little bit more research on the 2.
Last week, CCGP meeting, Steve and I went, it was on childcare at Western Iowa Networks. Aaron was there, it was fairly well attended, but we're no different than a lot of city, childcare is an issue in our county and city as many others. Tuesday night, I did go with Mike and Gene to discuss the sewer rates and operating costs at Maple River. Wednesday, I went out to roads, looked at payables. Sunday, I talked to Jared Hayes about the Maple River sewer system, trying to understand it. This week, today, newspaper, radio. Tomorrow, Sarah with the newspaper wants to do an interview about the HVAC completion and the overall project in the courthouse. Wednesday, there's a public hearing at 6:30 in this room for the 10-year comprehensive plan that's taken a year to put together. And then sometime this week, I'm gonna meet Jared Hayes at Maple River Sewer for a site visit. That's all I have.
Okay, last week, Tuesday night, we did a Maple River sewer meeting. On Wednesday, I went to WMA in Oakland, Iowa, learned all about conservation and some new CRP strips. You should put those in, Hubert. It's good presence. Thursday, me and Gene went back here and dug into bills and got actual numbers on the Maple River sewer and determined they've been about $10 behind. So we need to get that addressed next, and then,
$10 behind per user.
per month, wow, for last year. So we're gonna address that. This week, I don't have anything on my schedule, and next week I am gonna be gone. Next week, next. Anyway,
Well, I'll repeat here, Monday I did meet with Mike and Courtney, kind of went over the Maple thing. Then Tuesday, that CCGP, the daycare, meeting, a lot of communities in the state have the same issues we had. Then Tuesday went to the Maple River Town Hall meeting and talked to them about their sewer up there and their rates, and, they were, shocked probably what we initially proposed. And when Mike and I did meet again Thursday and went through an in-depth and the finances of last year, and we both walked away with a case scenario worse than what we thought. And so we're putting some proposals together and see if we get this thing ironed out. It's a bad situation, period. Friday then I had Yes Center board meeting up in Cherokee, which I'm glad I had to go Friday instead of today, because I'm gonna get there. This week, Tuesday, I have policy council, and Wednesday, Rolling Hills Mental Health at Stone Lake, and Thursday, New Opportunities board meeting, and then Friday, there is a HHS town hall meeting on New Opportunities that is being hosted up by New Opportunities.
For next week, we will do our resolution for the new fiscal year. And then the Drees maintenance agreement.
Somebody's presenting on that, right?
We have 2 people coming. I think the sheriff's department's gonna be here. I think Brett's gonna be here also.
How much from those in attendance?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
That was the longest motion in a second for adjournment ever.
I don't know that I can beat Board Darrell.
You can't.
I tried, but I don't know if I can beat.
the urge to shop, where's my table at the end of every meeting?